My name is Amaran Dlovu. I live in Johannesburg, and for one whole year, I barely rested. I worked my regular marketing job during the day, and at night I did freelance design work until my eyes burned and my fingers felt numb. Weekends weren't weekends anymore. While my friends were out enjoying brunch or road trips, I was at my laptop telling myself, it'll be worth it. I had one goal, to surprise my family with something unforgettable. My dad, Thabo Ndlovu, was turning 60. He's always been the loud, proud, larger-than-life kind of father. I wanted to give him something big, something that would make him look at me and say, "That's my daughter." So I planned a $30,000 Dubai holiday, flights for everyone, a luxury hotel with a view of the Burj Khalifa, a private birthday dinner high above the city, desert safari, a cruise. Every detail carefully chosen, every deposit paid with my card, my money. The day I told them, my mom cried. My brother Cabello lifted me off the ground in a hug. Dad just kept shaking his head in disbelief, smiling like I had handed him the world. In that moment I felt proud, felt seen. I felt like I finally mattered. I thought this trip meant we were solid, united, family. I had no idea that while I was paying for everyone's seat on that plane, mine would quietly disappear. 3 days before our flight, I was sitting on my bed with my suitcase half open, making a checklist on my phone. Sunscreen, heels for the Burj dinner, Dad's birthday speech I had secretly written. I was tired but excited. My phone rang. Dad Red Heart flashed on the screen. I smiled when I answered. "Hey, birthday king." He didn't laugh like usual. His voice was calm. "Come, Amara, there's just a small change." Something in my chest tightened. "Okay, what kind of change?" Papers shuffling in the background. Then he said it like he was talking about switching seats at dinner. "We removed your name from the booking." Silence. I actually thought I misheard him. "Sorry, what?" "We removed your ticket," he repeated, still casual. "Zinal will be coming instead." Felt like the room went quiet. Even the traffic outside my window sounded far away. "Removed my ticket," I whispered. "Yes," he said, slightly impatient now. "You know Cabello is getting married soon. Zinal needs bonding time with the family. This trip will be good for her. You're independent, Amara. You understand these things." Independent. That word hit me harder than anything else. Independent meant I pay for myself. Independent meant I don't complain. Independent meant I sacrifice quietly. "Dad," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady, "I paid for that trip." "Yes, and we appreciate it," he replied quickly. "But don't make this dramatic. It's just one holiday. You can travel anytime. You're always traveling for work anyway." This wasn't about traveling. This was about being replaced. "So, you all discussed this?" "Yes. Your mother and I agreed it's the best decision for the family," he said. "Zinal should feel welcomed. You're strong. She's new. Strong." Why did being strong always mean I had to lose? My throat felt tight. I imagined my seat on that plane. My name deleted. My spot at the birthday dinner given to someone who didn't spend a single late night earning it. I pictured Zinal smiling, thanking everyone, sitting in the place I had chosen for myself. "And you didn't think to ask me," I said quietly. "We're telling you now," he replied. "Please don't make this awkward." Awkward. I laughed, but it didn't sound like me. "So when were you planning to tell me?" "At the airport." "Amara," he warned, his voice hardening. "Don't start." But it had already started. The realization. The shift. The crack in something I thought was solid. My heart dropped in a way I can't explain. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just heavy. Like something precious had slipped through my hands and shattered quietly on the floor. 3 days before departure. And I was no longer going on the trip I paid for. That night we still had our family dinner. The same dinner we planned weeks ago to go over last-minute details for Dubai. I almost didn't go. I sat in my car outside my parents' house for 10 minutes, staring at the steering wheel, telling myself to breathe. Part of me hoped Dad would call again and say it was all a misunderstanding. He didn't. When I walked in, the house smelled like grilled chicken and spices. Everyone was already there. Cabello was laughing loudly in the living room. And Zinel, she was sitting right in the middle, glowing like a guest of honor. The moment she saw me, she stood up and hugged me. Amara, thank you so much for everything. This trip is going to be amazing. I forced a smile. You're welcome. We all sat down at the table. Dad kept scrolling on his phone. He didn't look at me. Not once. My mom was overly cheerful, talking about what outfit she packed. Cabello was explaining the desert safari to Zinel like he planned it himself. Then Zinel lifted her glass. I just want to say thank you to this beautiful family for welcoming me, she said sweetly. And for including me on such an expensive trip. I feel so loved already. Everyone clapped softly. I felt my face burn. Expensive trip. Dad cleared his throat but didn't say anything. My mom smiled proudly like this was all normal. Like I wasn't sitting right there. Finally spoke. It's nice you feel welcomed. The table went quiet for a second. Cabello shot me a look. Zinel blinked, confused. Of course, she said. Family is everything. Family. My mom reached for my hand like she was calming a child. Amara, sweetheart, you can always travel later. You know that. You're young. You have time. That sentence hurt more than the phone call. This wasn't about time. It wasn't about flights. It wasn't about Dubai. It was about sitting at a table where everyone knew I had paid for that trip, and watching them act like I was just some extra guest who didn't make the final cut. Mom, I said quietly, I didn't plan this for later. I planned it for Dad. Dad finally looked up, but only for a second. His eyes met mine and then dropped back to his plate. He stabbed his food like it had personally offended him. Cabello sighed loudly. Why are you making this a big deal? It's just one seat. Just one seat. I looked around the table. At the people I worked a year for. At the hands that hugged me when I surprised them. At the mouths now pretending I was unreasonable. It's not about the seat, I said softly. But they didn't get it. Or maybe they didn't want to. Zinel shifted in her chair, clearly uncomfortable now. I didn't mean to cause any problems. No, you didn't, I replied. And that was true. She didn't remove my name. My family did. The rest of the dinner felt heavy. Conversations floated over me like I wasn't really there. Plans were made. Excitement filled the room. Dad talked about taking pictures at the Burj Khalifa. My mom asked Zinel what color dress she'd wear to the birthday dinner I had booked. I sat there quietly, realizing something painful. I wasn't hurt because I wasn't going to Dubai. I was hurt because I had just learned exactly where I stood in my own family. And it wasn't at the table. I didn't argue anymore after that dinner. I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't raise my voice. I just went home. My apartment felt quiet in a different way that night. Not peaceful. Just empty. I kicked off my shoes, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at the wall for a long time. My phone buzzed a few times. Family group chat messages about packing and airport timing. I muted it. Then something crossed my mind. Slowly I reached for my laptop. I opened my email. My fingers hesitated for a second before typing in the travel agency's name. Hundreds of messages popped up. Confirmations, receipts, payment schedules. Every single one had my name at the top. Amara Ndlovu, primary traveler, cardholder, billing contact. I opened the main booking confirmation. Flights, fully paid. Luxury hotel, fully paid. Desert safari paid. Yacht dinner paid. Burj Khalifa private birthday reservation, paid. All under my card. My money. Name. My heart was still hurting, but now something else was rising too. Clarity. I scrolled down to the cancellation policy. I had read it months ago just in case. I never thought I'd actually need it. Full refund available up to 48 hours before departure. Check the date. We were 46 hours away. I actually blinked, just to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. 46 hours. I leaned back in my chair. For the first time since Dad's phone call, I felt steady. Not emotional. Not reactive. Just aware. They removed my name from the trip like it didn't matter. But they forgot something very important. The trip was never in their control. 'Twas in mine. I opened the flight booking details. There it was, the option, modify or cancel reservation. My hands didn't shake this time. They felt calm, strong, like I was finally holding something solid. I thought about that dinner, about Dad avoiding my eyes, about Mom telling me I could always travel later, about Cabello saying it was just one seat, about Zinel thanking everyone for an expensive trip. Expensive. It was. And I paid for every single part of it. Suddenly the story in my head shifted. I wasn't the rejected daughter sitting quietly at the table anymore. I was the one who worked 2 jobs for a year. I was the one who made it happen. I was the one with the receipts. Power doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like a confirmation email. I opened another tab and checked the hotel booking. Same thing. Fully refundable. Yacht rental. Refundable. Safari. Refundable. Everything was still within the window. They had made their decision without asking me. Now I had a decision to make too. I closed my eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about being dramatic. It was about respect. And respect doesn't beg for a seat at the table. It decides whether the table stays standing at all. I didn't argue anymore after that dinner. I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't raise my voice. I just went home. My apartment felt quiet in a different way that night. Not peaceful. Just empty. I kicked off my shoes, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at the wall for a long time. My phone buzzed a few times. Family group chat messages about packing and airport timing. I muted it. Then something crossed my mind. Slowly I reached for my laptop. I opened my email. My fingers hesitated for a second before typing in the travel agency's name. Hundreds of messages popped up. Confirmations, receipts, payment schedules. Every single one had my name at the top. Marendlovu, primary traveler, cardholder, billing contact. I opened the main booking confirmation. Flights, fully paid. Luxury hotel, fully paid. Desert safari paid. Yacht dinner paid. Burj Khalifa private birthday reservation, paid. All under my card. My money. Name. My heart was still hurting, but now something else was rising too. Clarity. I scrolled down to the cancellation policy. I had read it months ago just in case. I never thought I'd actually need it. Full refund available up to 48 hours before departure. Check the date. We were 46 hours away. I actually blinked, just to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. 46 hours. I leaned back in my chair. For the first time since Dad's phone call, I felt steady. Not emotional. Not reactive. Just aware. They removed my name from the trip like it didn't matter. But they forgot something very important. The trip was never in their control. 'Twas in mine. I opened the flight booking details. There it was, the option, modify or cancel reservation. My hands didn't shake this time. They felt calm, strong, like I was finally holding something solid. I thought about that dinner, about Dad avoiding my eyes, about Mom telling me I could always travel later, about Cabello saying it was just one seat, about Zinel thanking everyone for an expensive trip. Expensive. It was. And I paid for every single part of it. Suddenly the story in my head shifted. I wasn't the rejected daughter sitting quietly at the table anymore. I was the one who worked 2 jobs for a year. I was the one who made it happen. I was the one with the receipts. Power doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like a confirmation email. I opened another tab and checked the hotel booking. Same thing. Fully refundable. Yacht rental. Refundable. Safari. Refundable. Everything was still within the window. They had made their decision without asking me. Now I had a decision to make too. I closed my eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about being dramatic. It was about respect. And respect doesn't beg for a seat at the table. It decides whether the table stays standing at all. A few days after the airport drama, the house phone calls slowed down. The group chat went quiet. No one was posting countdowns anymore. No one was talking about Dubai. But I was. Not in the way they expected. On Thursday afternoon, I walked back into the same travel agency I had used to book the family trip. The same glass doors. The same soft music playing inside. The same agent, Priya, looked up when I entered. Her eyes widened slightly. Amara, hi. Smiled. A real smile this time. I need to book a flight. She hesitated. For me. Something in her expression shifted. Not pity. Not judgment. Just understanding. We sat down at her desk, and I explained that I still wanted to go to Dubai. Just differently. I told her about my startup, the marketing tech platform I had been building quietly for 2 years. The same side project that helped me afford that $30,000 trip in the first place. She started typing on her computer. Actually, she said slowly, there's an investor conference in Dubai next week. It's for emerging African startups. Let me check something. My heart skipped. What kind of conference? Tech, digital platforms, innovation funding, she said. You said your company is scaling, right? He nodded. She clicked through a few more pages. You meet the requirements. Revenue growth, active users, registered business. You could apply for a featured pitch slot. Blinked. Are you serious? Yes, she smiled. And it's at the same time your family would have been traveling. The same city. Different purpose. Suddenly Dubai didn't feel like a family vacation anymore. Felt like opportunity. We looked at flights. This time I chose business class. Not to show off. Not to prove anything. But because I could. 'Cause I earned it. Hotel? Priya asked. Something close to the conference venue, I said confidently. As she finalized the booking, I felt something I hadn't felt all week. Excitement. Not the kind that depends on other people's approval. Not the kind that needs applause at a dinner table. The kind that comes from building something for yourself. Before I left, Priya printed out my itinerary and handed it to me. This one, she said gently, has your name on it, and it's staying there. I laughed softly. Good. Walking out of that agency felt different from last time. I wasn't carrying a family's expectations. I wasn't trying to buy love or prove my worth. I was investing in my future. That night, I opened my laptop again, not to cancel anything but to prepare my pitch deck. Slides about growth, vision, expansion into new markets. I stayed up late, but this time it didn't feel heavy. Felt powerful. The city they tried to take from me was now opening its doors in a completely different way. Same Dubai skyline. But this time I wasn't going as someone's daughter. I was going as a founder. The week after the airport incident felt strange. Too quiet in some moments. Too loud in others. Dad finally came over to my apartment on Sunday evening. He didn't call first. He just knocked. When I opened the door, he looked older somehow. Not weak, just shaken. You didn't have to go that far, he said as soon as he stepped inside. I didn't offer him tea. I didn't offer excuses either. You didn't have to remove me. He sighed heavily and sat down. You embarrassed us in front of strangers. Do you know what people must be thinking? I looked at him calmly. They're thinking the truth. He rubbed his forehead. Family problems are supposed to stay inside the family. That sentence hit differently now. Respect is also supposed to stay inside the family, I replied. Later that night, Mom called. Her voice wasn't angry. It was disappointed, the kind that tries to make you feel small. Amara, she said softly, you broke the family over pride. I swallowed. No, Mom. I protected myself. She sighed. Your father hasn't been sleeping well. Cabello is upset. Zinal feels unwelcome. Unwelcome. I thought about that dinner again. About how welcome I felt at that table. I never made her unwelcome, I said. I just refused to be erased. The truth didn't stay quiet for long. Relatives started calling. First I thought they were going to scold me too. But the tone surprised me. My Aunt Thandi said, so you really paid for everything? Yes. And they removed you, she asked. Yes. There was a long pause. Then she muttered, that's not right. Word spread fast. Faster than I expected. In our community, nothing stays private. By the end of the week, cousins were messaging me. Even neighbors had heard, something happened at the airport. But here's what changed. The story wasn't twisted. People knew I funded the trip. People knew I was removed, and for the first time in our family history, the spotlight shifted. Cabello, the golden child, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. Now people were asking him questions. You let your sister pay and then replaced her. You didn't speak up. I heard through a cousin that he was defensive, snapping at everyone, saying I was dramatic, saying I overreacted. But it didn't land the same anymore. 'Cause now there were facts, receipts, reality. Dad stopped bringing up embarrassment. Instead, he started saying things like, maybe we could have handled it better. Mom stopped saying I broke the family. Instead, she said, people are talking too much. But the whispers weren't cruel. They were clear. For the first time, people saw me not as the independent daughter who can handle anything, but as the one who was treated unfairly. And Cabello, he wasn't the golden child that week. He was the spoiled one who expected everything, even what wasn't his. The shift wasn't loud. No one apologized dramatically. No one made a big public statement. But I felt it. The balance had changed. And for once, I wasn't carrying the weight of being the strong one alone. They were finally carrying the consequences. The morning of my flight felt different from the one a week earlier. This time I wasn't checking a family group chat. I wasn't waiting for anyone. I ordered my own Uber, carried my own suitcase, and walked into Ortambo Airport with my head high. No drama. No shouting. No chaos. Just me. When I handed over my passport at the check-in counter, the lady smiled. Business class, Ms. Ndlovu. Business class. I nodded, calm but proud. This ticket had my name on it, and it was staying there. Sitting on the plane, I looked out the window as Johannesburg grew smaller beneath the clouds. A week ago, I was the daughter who got removed, the one expected to understand, to adjust, to sacrifice quietly. Now I was flying toward opportunity, toward investors, toward growth, toward a future I built myself. Dubai welcomed me with bright lights and warm air. The city looked exactly how I imagined it months ago, tall, bold, shining. But this time I wasn't there to celebrate someone else. I was there for me. After the conference, still wearing my blazer and heels, I went to the Burj Khalifa. I stood at the top, looking down at the city, feeling small in the best possible way. Not small like I didn't matter. Small like the world was big, and I belonged in it. Took a photo. The skyline behind me. My expression calm, strong. Then I posted it on Instagram. Sometimes the best family gift is self-respect. Within minutes, the likes started pouring in. Comments, messages, support. And I knew Dad would see it. He never expected the daughter he removed from a seat to rise higher than all of them. But there I was. Not bitter. Not angry. Just elevated.